Antonio Sperlin. I'm delighted to have this awesome privilege to introduce to those that are online with us today and the persons that are here in the physical location of NLIM. I want to send a special thanks and a shout out to our pastors, Pastor George and Judith Matthews, for having the vision and the insight to allow such a wonderful opportunity for our members and those non-members to learn substantive information regarding Medicare and Medicaid, as well as the difference between caregiving versus care supervising. Fortunately, but unfortunately, we're all moving in the direction of an aging population as we get younger, amen? But with this, and with that having been said, I want to get ready to introduce to you our speaker for today, who's going to help engage in this Q&A session. If you have questions online, please type those into the chat if you have questions. If we don't get to those questions now, we'll try to make sure that we address that for you in the future through another forum. With that having been said, my name is Antonio Sperlin. I have the awesome privilege and opportunity to serve as your host today. And today we have Mrs. Maria Ephraim. How are you today?
I'm fine. Good morning.
Very good, very good. And so we're glad to have you today, and I'm going to take my seat. But before I get into telling the people more specifically about your background, your education, your professional acumen, and those things, I'd like to share with everyone how we came to have met. Over 30 years ago, actually 44 years ago, I'm telling my age, 40 years ago.
Okay.
40 years ago, I had the pleasure of meeting a gentleman by the name of Mr. Isaac Ephraim, and he was the best man in my wedding, but I met him on the heels of my father having been killed in February 1986. And at the time I was 14, and in comes Mr. Ephraim, who was working with my mother with some insurance through the school systems in those years. And she said, I would like for you to consider allowing this gentleman to mentor you to the extent that he has time, availability, and his calendar would provide such. And I want you to learn from him as much as you can, because this was after my father was killed. And so I was very traumatized behind that incident involving my father. And so I really took to Mr. Ephraim as likened unto a father, because he was the next man I met outside of my father to be very impactful, provide me with a sense of leadership, a sense of direction, a sense of manhood, and just a sense of entrepreneurship and understanding business. And so with that, I've learned so many things from your husband, and I've learned so many things through you by way of relationship with your husband, who, as I said earlier, Mr. Ephraim was the best man in my wedding when I got married over 30 years ago. And I've just always loved the Ephraim family. You know, the two of you, Julian, you know, the other kids, I just love them. It's just a blessing to have you guys. And so for us to have such a long-standing relationship and to be here is just a blessing.
It is.
So with that having been said, just a little bit background about how we came to know one another in our relationship. Share with everyone a little bit about yourself by way of your schooling, and then what you do and how you came about with the passion to work in the industry that you work in.
It has been a very pleasant journey.
Okay.
After this, Birmingham is our home, and then undergrad work was at HBCU at Tuskegee.
Okay.
It was Tuskegee Institute at that time. And then grad work at Alabama. And healthcare has always been my area that I've loved and worked in. And through background in nutrition, then planning, then management, and then went into long-term care as an administrator. So I've been doing that now for 25 years. So it has been a journey that has been well enjoyed, and just thankful that I've been able to serve the elderly community in that way.
So how does long-term care administration, how does that function, and how does that relate to the aging population? Just give us some background.
Well, the aging population, when they're coming into long-term care or needing long-term care, they are needing to come into a facility where they can get all the services that they can't manage themselves. It's usually their activities of daily living. They are no longer able to do that, or they cannot manage their medications, say if they're diabetic, or they have other needs, say someone who has chronic pulmonary disorders where they're going to need oxygen and need that managed. And then there are just illnesses and the way people live and how we eat and the things that we put in our body that deteriorates our body, and we need someone to then begin caring for us with the medical component being a very large part of that, with physicians and nurses, certified nursing assistants, and then just someone to care. The things that we do at home that we don't think very much about, going to the grocery store, keeping our area that we live in very clean. Those are things that make us maintain a healthy environment and healthy life, and a lot of times we cannot do that anymore. So people usually have a major event that gets them to the hospital, and then once they've completed their treatment there, it's determined that they can no longer care for themselves, and they need someone to do that. So there becomes the need for long-term care, because it is determined after they've done their time at the hospital, they're not responding to therapy. And when I say not responding, I mean that they're not benefiting from it. They are not improving at a level where the doctor can say at the hospital, you're free to go home. It becomes necessary for them to need additional support. So that support then becomes that long-term care facility. Mm-hmm. And people are then, the doctor recommends through medical recommendations that this person can no longer take care of themselves. And when I say take care of themselves, that means those activities of daily living. And we really don't think about that a lot, how it's such a precious gift to be able to do things for yourself. Go get a cup of water, go to the restroom, do your laundry, go to the grocery store, have friends over, cook for your friends. We don't think about that, but those are blessings that we have. And when you're unable to do that, we need support. And thank goodness that we do have long-term care centers that can help us with that.
That's very good. And so you've mentioned what I've come to realize in some aspects through our relationship and just studying information, even dealing with the situation with my mother, what they refer to as ADLs, which is an acronym standing for Activities of Daily Living. So the ADLs, Activities of Daily Living, let's just go over, just for those who are viewing with us online and those that are here, what are activities of daily living? And I'll just kind of name a few which I understand, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but being able to transfer from a seated position to a standing position is an activity of daily living, like standing up and sitting down. Also transferring from a bed to a toilet, that's an activity of daily living. As you said earlier, managing your own medication, your prescriptions, things of that nature, feeding yourself, bathing yourself, things that we sometimes seemingly can take for granted because we can get up and walk, being able to ambulate, to move around
Dressing
and walk.
yourself.
Dressing yourself. So what are some, so I think there are, what is it, 7 or 10 activities of daily living? Something like that?
That you need to be able to do on your own.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And when you're in the hospital, after they take care of the very critical issues that you have, getting you to more of a stable position, then they begin some level of therapy just to see if you can do those very simple tasks. And again, we take those all very, very, they're very common to us. We don't even think about it. We don't think about getting up in the middle of the night, getting a glass of water, or going to the restroom. We don't think about that. We just do it. But once you've had a severe stroke or aneurysm, you've had a fall, and been down on the floor for hours and days, all of that deconditions your body, and you can no longer function on your own. You need help. You need supervision. And the therapy department at the hospital works with you to see how well you're doing. If they can get you to a level where home health can then work with you, you go home. But if during the time that they're working with you in the hospital that you cannot, they see where you cannot, and it may be that your stroke was so severe that you're not able to even take commands, which is what the therapists do. They show you things, they give you commands on what you need to do, and then they allow you to perform that task repeatedly. So if that's an unsuccessful process, then the doctor says, you need to go in for long-term care. You need to go in for rehab first, and then in rehab, at the nursing home. You can then work well with that for 20 days or greater. Medicare determines how long you will be in that process, and then you may go home. Or if you don't progress at a level that's satisfactory, then for your safety, they recommend that you go into long-term care.
Okay. So what I want to try to do for our listening audience is help them understand the sequence of events that get someone to a long-term care facility. So let's just, for teaching purposes, say a person has a health event, as you mentioned earlier. They may have a fall, they may have heart-related difficulties, they may have anything that may incapacitate a portion of their body, something of that nature, their mind. With those activities of daily living, and I'm asking, is it that they will rate to see if you can only do 3 out of the 10 or 6 out of the 10, that would then make you more eligible for this long-term care
I can't give
need?
you the exact number,
Okay.
but they are looking to see how well you can do alone, what you can do alone. Or if you cannot do that alone, do you have that support system at home that can assist you? And some people do. We used to have the village where there were aunts, uncles, and all of the relatives that were close by, and they would come by and take turns taking care of you. That doesn't exist today in the magnitude that it used to. So if it's deemed that you cannot go home and take care of yourself with those simple things, the simple things of being able to reposition yourself in the bed. We can destroy our skin by the surfaces of our body being in one spot too long. And it only takes 2 hours that you can have deteriorated your skin to a level that you begin to have red area, and then that skin can open up. So if you can't move your body around in the bed, that's a problem. If you can't get out of the bed, walk safely, that's a problem. If you can't get yourself to the bathroom, that's a problem. If I give you a wheelchair, but you still can't go from the bed to the wheelchair and then the wheelchair back to the bed, that's a problem. If you can't get your nutrition that you need, that's a problem. If you can't communicate, that's also a problem. So when they evaluate all of those, and they have mechanisms, tests, and different things that they do, if you can't do those things for yourself in the hospital, then the hospital says they don't need the acute care that they were getting, but now they still need supervised medical care. Okay. So that's where the long-term care comes in.
And I've had some experience in that in some aspects. My father-in-law, his health went into rapid decline, and I had cameras in their house where I could see, and sometimes he would go down on the floor, and I would leave home, go there, help him get back up, and kind of help him move around and become more functional. Or in some cases, he'd have to go to the hospital or not. But even in that, I came to realize very quickly that I was grappling with this realization, because at first I think as a family member we can somewhat be in denial.
Yes.
Like, I don't believe this is really happening.
Yes.
I don't believe that I'm seeing my parents' health decline right before my eyes, my mother, my father, whomever. And you're trying to get out of this state of denial so you can really take constructive action to deal with the situation. But one of the things I noticed is that when his health was challenged, then my mother's health became very challenged. And I think I called you several times. We had these discussions, and she's okay with me having these discussions about it. I told her I was going to do this session today, and she's okay in this conversation. But I was trying to wrap my head around thoughts of being overwhelmed with what I was seeing. And that's sometimes what adult children can experience when they're seeing their parents' health decline rapidly or slowly. Yes, ma'am.
If I could just add to that, we're all wanting to be very healthy every day of our life.
Yes.
We want to be able to do things, because being able to do for myself is a very major accomplishment. I'm independent. Being independent is what we all want. When this sudden event happens, emotions take over. And we can say we want to be adults and we want to be able to deal with everything, but we can't. It's very, very difficult because I just left Mom. We just went to the store. We just had dinner. We just had this big party. We just traveled out of town and we just came back. And she came home, had a event, and now she's in the hospital. Now I see her on with all these IVs, and I see this, and sometimes, you know, it progresses to having to have a machine breathe for you, a ventilator, and it's just a lot. And then it becomes very difficult for us to hear what's being said from the medical team and also to make those decisions. So I just want to, at this moment, say to all of us that are listening and that are here, with your family members, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, try to get the legal aspect of things set up early on. Everybody needs to have someone that's their power of attorney.
Yes.
Everyone needs to have someone that they can depend on to make medical and financial decisions for them. Because when these events happen and you get into the medical system, somebody has to answer questions, somebody has to make decisions, and sometimes those decisions must be made like right away.
Right.
So you can't say, well, I'm going to go and call sister, and they will give you some time, but decisions must be made. And you need to have that, you need to have voiced what you want to happen to you in the event that something happens. And people say, well, no, that's not going to happen to me. I don't even want to think about that. We must think about it. Once we pass certain ages, we need to think about it. We need to be prepared. We need to have one or two people, and you can have 2 people on your POA if you need it. You have an attorney here that can help you with that, but you need to have that set up. You also need someone that can handle your finances.
Yes.
Because when it progresses past the hospital into the nursing home, someone needs to know what you have, where it is, and how I can get to it, and what you're okay with me doing. And we're going to talk about Medicaid in just a moment, but those are things that are very, very urgent. Someone needs to know if I should fall and I should hurt myself and I should need extended care, what do I want to happen?
Right.
My family knows what I don't want. I don't want to be tooth-fed. I don't want to be in the hospital for an extended, or in the nursing home for an extended time period and not progressing. But some of these decisions must be made in advance so that as they start the process of your care, they will know how far they can go with certain care events. So I just wanted to insert that.
And you know, it's great that you say that, because that tells you that there are 2 parallel roads to travel that are simultaneous. You have a medical road of travel, then you have a legal road of travel.
Right.
And those 2 roads should be congruent. They should flow in the same direction. And I can't tell you how many times, just as a practitioner of law, where I'll say, well, you know, the eldest child want this for Big Mama, but the youngest child want something else for Big Mama.
Right.
And Big Mama's over here, ailing, and it's just all this confusion.
Or is not aware or can't make decisions, can't think well
Right.
enough to make decisions. And those papers cannot be done after the fact.
No.
It's just like you cannot buy fire insurance after you've had a fire
Right.
while the house is on fire.
That's right.
You cannot get a POA while you're there on a ventilator.
Yeah.
I can't sign it. I
Right.
can't sign it because that power of attorney said, when I was alert, I agreed that this is what I wanted you to do. And it has to be done dates before the event occurred, because the bank, the nursing home, the hospital, everybody knows that if you entered the nursing home on June 1st and your power of attorney was signed on June 15, it is not valid. It won't stand up.
So let's talk about this Medicare, Medicaid.
I think she had a question.
Yes, we have a question here on the floor. If we can get the sound box here, but while she's bringing the sound box, I'll ask this question.
Okay.
Medicare, Medicaid, you mentioned the 20 days or the 21 days. So let's say, I'm just trying to create a scenario for teaching purposes, for clarity for the audience. Say a person has an event January 1st of a year, and the event is they have a heart issue or whatever the case is, or they have some type of mental health episode of case that makes them disoriented. And they are in the hospital, Jan 1st of 1 year, and then the 20th day, they're ready to be discharged. Walk us through what Medicare and Medicaid would do if that person's above the age of 65.
Okay, now, their time in the hospital does not have to be 20 days. It can be whatever length of time they
Right.
needed to stabilize you.
Right.
And then at that point, it's determined that it's not safe for you to go home. You cannot care for yourself. You cannot determine when to take your medicine. You need help throughout 24 hours a day. And the doctor writes an order. And everybody remember, you cannot just walk into a nursing home. There must be a physician that has written an order for you to be admitted. And the doctor says, I want them to go to the nursing home. Then you were in the hospital and every service that you obtain, everything that you get, there has to be a payer. There is no free care.
Wow.
Please understand, there is no free care. So if you're in the hospital, you use your Medicare or a Medicare Advantage plan. That plan and Medicare pays 20 days free. You pay those premiums, and it took care of all of your care. It took care of all your medications. It took care of the doctors and the nurses working with you. And then they send you to the nursing home, and then the nursing home now gives you a free 20 days
Okay.
that the Medicare or the managed care plan will pay.
Okay.
And then most plans, on the 21st day, you have to begin what we call a copay.
Right.
And that's a little different for everybody. Each plan it determines on what you signed up for if you're in a managed care plan. And you have that amount that's due on the 21st day. Most people decide, I don't want to, or I cannot afford to pay the $280 a day copay. And that may be from day 21 to day 60, or it may be from day 21 through your 100 days. Medicare says you have 100 days for therapeutic skill services per year.
Right.
And so at that point, most people decide that they're going to try their best to get themselves through their rehab and then go home on that 21st day.
Right. That's very impactful, because some experiences that we had a couple of years ago, that's what happens. That on the 21st day, say in that scenario, Jan 21 to an additional 78 days out, from 21 days up to 100 days, there's a private pay copay that insurance will not pay, that you have to pay, or that patient has to pay, or the family has to pay. And the one I was most familiar with at this facility, I won't mention the name now, but it's $300 a day.
That's right.
$300 a day for 30 days is $9,000 in 30 days. Now think of how many people in retirement have $9,000 that they could afford to be in a facility that's nice for 30 days. And if that goes on for another 30 days, that's another $9,000. You can seemingly spend over $120,000 a year in a long-term care facility. So
You can.
it happens just very quick, and the numbers run up so fast. So moving down this progression of this timeline of this sequence of event, the event happens, the person spends X number of days in the hospital, but they got the 20 days in the facility. And then after the 21st day, that's when they are required to pay the copay based on what you're saying, right? Okay, very good. I'm going to take a pause here and take Ms. Walton's question. Did you have a question?
Oh, I do.
Well, when we were talking about the power of attorney,
Yes, ma'am.
so my mom's doctor gave her a directive to sign. Is that the same as giving
What's the, gave her what
a
to say?
directive? It
She's
is to
Oh,
say-
advance directive.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
advance directive. So is that the same as a power
No.
of attorney? So we do need two?
Yeah, I can give you some clarity on that, and she
Okay.
can, Ms. Ephraim can jump in on the medical side of this, if it's
Go
okay.
ahead.
An advanced medical directive is not one and the same as a power of attorney. An advanced medical directive is what Ms. Ephraim was referring to earlier when she said she doesn't want certain things to happen, like a feeding tube, things like that. In advance, which by definition means beforehand, this is what I'm telling you beforehand. Before this person's health get into severe decline, or that they are languishing in a state of deterioration and their health is not recovering, you can sign an advance directive that you're saying as a patient, or before you get in that predicament, through a lawyer's office or whomever, this is what I would want to happen. If I get into this state of quality of life that I'm diminishing, I don't want feeding tubes, I do not want artificial hydration, I don't want certain various and sundry things. That's what an advanced medical directive is. In contrast, a power of attorney, Ms. Ephraim touched on this earlier just to give some clarity about the legal mechanisms. If a person is, say they have a mental episode where they lose cognitive function for whatever reason, and then they say, well, someone said, well, hey, just sign this document. Well, they really can't legally. It's not going to be valid because they lost capacity at that point. So it's very important to do those things prior to life as we know it taking some unfortunate turns, if you can particularly have the prowess to recognize what you need to do.
And one of the questions on that advance directive is asking you, do you want to have if something should happen, do you want to be resuscitated, or do you want it to be a
Sure.
do not resuscitate?
Right.
Which means that if you say, I want for resuscitation to occur, that means that regardless of what's going on, and there's a change in status, you have a moment where you stop breathing and they determine that you need that, they're going to start the whole process. And you have to make a decision, or you have someone in the hospital right now? That's what your doctor is just telling you that you need to set up.
Well, it's for my mom. She's 95.
The speaker, please. Yes, you're good.
It's for my mom, and I'm her caregiver. And because of that, I just need the understanding so I can share with my siblings
Yeah.
all the aspects of what.
And is
what
your
we're
mom
learning.
alerted 95?
Very.
Okay, so that calls for that discussion to occur.
Yes.
So
We've
that,
had the discussion, but now I need to discuss the power of attorney portion
Correct.
with her.
Right.
both of those documents are very, very important.
Okay, that was
And-
my question.
Right, and whoever is the POA needs to make sure that they have those so that whenever you go into a hospital or you go into a nursing home, everybody needs to have that information. Because most hospitals don't anymore, but no one can get information other than the power of attorney or anyone that you let them know can get information.
Very good. Yes. Ms. Gina has her hands up here.
So if the patient does not have an advance directive, but they have a power of attorney, then the power of attorney can say resuscitate or not? Can they give the?
In most instances, a POA wouldn't have that language embedded in that document.
Okay,
Because a POA is basically where you're designating someone to be over your bank account, make financial decisions for you, pay your bills, open your mail, things that are more functional, like as if you were still healthy and well. You're just deferring to that person to do those things. Typically, you would see the verbiage that you're asking about in an advanced medical directive. Like if my health were to decline, I do not want resuscitation. I do not, et cetera. I don't want feeding tubes, so forth and the like. That's usually an advanced medical directive. But a POA typically deals with more business type things. Not to say exclusively, but you can have some medical verbiage in a POA.
What if you have the durable?
But if you have a durable POA, it gets a little bit more into those details. But ideally, you want both.
Right, but I'm just saying if someone does not have that medical, because sometimes people go in the hospital, they don't really understand when they're asking about, do you have an advanced medical directive?
Right.
So if they don't have that piece, but by chance they have a power of attorney, can then that power of attorney speak to the positions of the medical staff to say resuscitate or
Well,
not?
To the extent that the POA gives that authority, yes,
Okay.
but if it does not, no. The POA, actually, if a person were to pass away, a POA terminates at time of death, and it can be revoked by a person at any time. But typically, you'll see a POA deal more so with business things. Ms. Eve, you have something you'd like to add to that?
We often see people who have gone the extra step and gotten they have filled out, as her doctor advised, they have their own advance directive, and they also have a durable power of attorney, which has financial and health, but you have to make sure you have the right forms. And so that's why it's very good if you have an attorney to help you with that. They have forms online, but it's good to seek legal assistance because you want to make sure that all of that is very clear.
Right.
You don't want anyone to be able to go in. Sometimes a relative that you hadn't seen in 5 years, they walk in and they said, oh, they have a lot of concerns and they want to add their opinion. So it's very good for all of us to try to get those documents early on. And it's never too early.
Right.
Thank you.
So in this timeline of progression of persons within the 100 days, what do you typically see as far as, obviously everyone's quality of life and needs of care are totally different from one person to the next. But in your opinion, what's the difference between caregiving versus care supervising? And do you see pros and cons of being a caregiver versus a care supervisor? Because I think sometimes we have a tendency to kind of mix those two together or think we're doing one when we're actually doing both.
Are you saying caregiving in the home setting?
Well, either way you'd like to share that with us.
Okay.
Please.
So normally there's a caregiver, if you have your loved one at home, you might have a caregiver, which may be family or close friends or somebody that's being paid to do that. Those folks are there to provide just basic levels of care, unless they're a clinical person, they're a nurse, where they can do other things. So the caregiver is just that person who's stepping in to help do the things that you can no longer do for yourself. And it's great if you can be at home and that can be done very well. If you get to the point, though, that you cannot, that person can't help you in the manner that you need to be helped. They're not turning so that your skin condition is getting worse. They're not giving you your insulin and everything on time. You are not eating the way you should. You're losing weight. Then that person may need to go to a more supervised level where they would have nurse practitioners, doctors, and so forth available. And someone to clean you up, clean your room up, and make sure that you're getting meals. So the caregiver then is no longer able to do the things that are needed. So at that point, that person needs to go back to a medically supervised area. So if you were in the hospital and you thought that you could go home and you were on your Medicare or managed care, you have 30 days after your discharge. If you can't manage within those 30 days and home health, I hope, and anytime you've been in the hospital, let them allow you to have home health. Ask for home health. If they don't say they're going to get a home health, ask for home health. And that's a go-between to help make sure that you can do things can happen the way you need them to. But if you're in the hospital and it's determined that you cannot even function, because sometimes the caregivers that have been working with you, once you've had your decline, they know right away, seeing that they have to have lifts to move you around, mechanical lifts and someone has to do special things for your care, they already know I can't do that by myself. And the family cannot afford to pay more than one person to do that, then you know that you need greater supervision. So long-term care is where you need to be. Then that means that your case manager is going to set it up. And you can ask for certain nursing homes that you want to go to, or they can assign one to you. But the doctor writes the order, and then you are transferred to the nursing home.
Okay.
If they are giving you they're saying that you do need therapy, then you'll have those 20 days of therapy there. And those 20 days of therapy will still be paid by your insurance company.
Mm-hmm. So in a given situation like that, what are some pros and cons? What are scenarios that you believe by which a person should consider should consider care supervising versus caregiving? What are some scenarios in your
Care
expertise?
supervising, you're referring to a family member supervising people that are coming in, or you're referring to the people being in the nursing home?
On both ends of that spectrum.
Okay, so let's go back then to the spot where the doctor has written the order for you to go to the nursing home. You're going there in the nursing home, and the key is while I'm in my 20 days of therapy, it's important that the family is evaluating how I'm doing. Am I improving? Am I able to get up? Am I beginning to feed myself? Am I able to walk? Is therapy telling me that I'm improving, that it looks like I'll be good, I'll be able to go back home? And that they usually can see that in about the 10th day, or maybe a few days after that. They can basically see they're improving. They'll be able to go home, and home health will come in providing more therapy, and there will be a nurse that will come in. That's all a good scenario. That's very good. That's a good end of the event that happened. Mm-hmm. If by that 10th day it looks like you're not able to follow commands, you're not eating, you're not responding, as they're working with you, you cannot even wash your face, you can't do the things that you need to do, then it becomes necessary for us to think, what is going to be the next step? What can be done for my loved one? And usually long-term care is what needs to happen. And that happens there in the nursing home. You just transition from where you're getting all the skilled rehab to now we're going to custodial care, where we're making sure that you're getting your food, we're making sure that you're being bathed, we're making sure that you're getting up, you're moving around, you're taking all of your medicines at the designated time in the amount that is needed, and you are receiving those medicines, and we're seeing progress. You're not declining, but your baseline has changed. Before you came into the nursing home, your baseline may have been that you're walking, you're having conversations, you're taking care of yourself, you're cleaning, you're doing all the things that you enjoy doing. You had your event in the hospital, you went in, they worked with you, they stabilized you, you're now sent to the nursing home, they're working with you, and your baseline has changed. Your baseline is now that I can assist in transferring me from the bed to the wheelchair. I'm still not able to go to the bathroom, but I am eating, I am communicating. I like to go out for activities. This is my new baseline for now. Doesn't mean that that's where I'm going to stay, but that's my baseline for now. So then the discussion comes, at the end of that 20 days, we made the decision that you need to stay. So the insurance company paid for those first 20 days. On day 21, guess what? The insurance company was paying for skilled services, which was including your therapy along with the other medical management things that they do. But now you need all of those other things to be paid for, and so who's going to pay for that? So now we need to determine, during the middle of that skill stay, how are we going to do that? Do I have long-term care insurance? Do I have a lot of savings? Do I have a pension that will take care of that? most nursing homes, that bill is going to be anywhere from about $8,500 to about $10,000 to $12,000 a day, depending on
A
which.
month?
A month.
Okay,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
A
fine.
month. Thank you.
No, you're good.
So how do we pay for that? And you're the POA, and the resident themselves has to make that decision very quickly. It takes about 30 to 45 days for Medicaid to make a decision if you will qualify for Medicaid.
What are some qualifications for Medicaid? I know you have some numbers that you'll share with us today before we finish, but
the biggest thing too is that you are medically approved to be in the nursing home.
okay.
As I said earlier, you don't just walk into the nursing home and say, hey, I need a room like you do in a hotel. You have to be medically qualified, that you need medical supervision by the doctor and the nurses. You need someone to make sure that they're administering your meds. You need care for ADLs. You can't take care of all your ADLs, and you meet that criteria. And we have a form that's filled out, and on there it is 6 to 10 of those
Okay. That
ADLs.
a person would not be able to do 6
Right,
of the 10 ADLs.
right,
Then
right.
that would get the eligibility
Right.
going, started.
And then, the medication administration and everything. So all of that has to be, that's the first piece. Then, what's your income? And the income the limit is like about $2,900 for one person.
A month.
Here in Alabama, a month.
That you cannot make more than $2,900
Right,
a month
right,
in order
right.
to be Medicaid eligible. Is that
Right.
right? Okay.
And I'll tell you, there are some other things that we consider in that. And you also, you have to, like I said, you have to be approved to be admitted to that institution, and also your resources. You have to make sure that your resources are not over $2,000. So,
Wow.
again, there is a lot of information that has to be evaluated and looked at. So that's where the business office person then gets involved with you, and that POA then needs to be able to access all of your everything.
So in that situation, let's just kind of create a scenario that if a person's in a facility, a nursing home facility, or trying to get a parent, a spouse, or a loved one in a facility, you're saying that the patient or the person cannot have income greater than $2,900 a month, correct? Mm-hmm. And the POA, whomever they designate, obviously needs to be involved in this conversation. But I heard you say something, I just want to make sure I'm clear. You said they cannot have assets greater than $2,000.
Right,
That's a house, a car, money in a bank account, or anything?
right.
Okay.
So, this is where you have to decide at that point then, what do I want to do? Do I want to use my savings and my 401k and everything I have to begin private pay? Do I want to set up, there's also a fund, called a qualified income trust. Do I want to set that up so that all of my pensions, all of my savings, all of my VA, my extra money that's coming in goes into this trust account? And then and so I basically don't have anything once I put it into that trust, because that's one of those trusts that once it goes in, all of that money is used for you, used for your day-to-day expenses. So if you're in a facility, and let's have a round number that is $9,000 per month, then Medicaid will, once they've evaluated your application, they've determined that you're okay to be approved, then they will tell you how much of that money you take out each month to put into your expenses, or what else you can buy with that money.
So in that trust that you mentioned, because that's a nuance right there, in that trust, would that take the income of that person, put it in the trust, and then Medicaid in exchange, if they get approved, would pay for that person to be in a facility?
Okay, so your Social Security stays separate, and your
Okay.
Social Security is going to be, say your Social Security is $3,000 a month. then the Social Security will go on your room and board. And then the other monies, they will tell you how much to deduct, because at that point, they've approved you for Medicaid.
Okay.
And they're going to tell you how to use your resources to take care of your expenses.
Okay. But that's part of what's getting the person eligible to be in a facility, right? Okay.
Right.
Keep
Now,
going, I apologize.
I heard some gas when we were talking about house. If you're the person living in the house and you're a caregiver or your spouse, many times that will become exempt. Medicaid is not in the real estate business. They don't want your house, but your house is an asset. So the house is considered and it's evaluated, but they make those determinations. I can't tell you that it will or will not. I'm just saying that they look at that. So as you're applying for Medicaid, that power of attorney has to have access to get all of the things that have value. Now, household goods, that's not of value, but the things that have value, which is your house. The car is usually exempt, to one car is usually exempt. And then your insurances, your cash value of insurances that are greater than $5,000. There is a burial that they want you to have burial plan in place, but and I can list for you the things that you need to have with your application.
Sure.
It
please.
can be the proof of your income, your retirement, your VA if you're getting VA benefits, Social Security benefits, if you have rental property, rental income, railroad retirement, any pension that you have, if you have investments, the interest from those, annuities. I already told you about the life insurance policy. If you have a Medicare D policy, that's the managed care, like if you have Viva, Aetna, those policies. If you have a long-term care plan, they want to know about that because you'll use that to help cover your expenses. If you have title for the vehicles, stocks, Social Security cards, property deeds, if you have any loans out there, if you have IRAs, CDs, if there's a guardian, all of those documents, and they're going to do a 5-year, 60-month look back.
Explain that to everyone.
If you've been getting your Social Security and you have your other resources, they're going to look into your accounts and see how you're using your money, is there somebody else that's cashing checks out of your account, or is it just you that's using your accounts, your income? They really want to make sure that you're not in a situation where somebody's abusing your resources that you have. And what Medicaid is saying, they will approve you, but all of your assets should be going to help you, not helping someone else. So it's important that if you have been, say with your mother, if you've been doing things for a loved one that's been incapacitated, they've been at home, have receipts, keep a notebook, keep up with everything, because you never know when you may make the decision or it may become necessary for them to go into a long-term care facility. So you want to make sure that you have documentation so that it's very obvious that that money has been used for them. Do not put your money into their account. Their account should just be their funds and nobody else. If I'm alert and I have an account and my grandson comes and I want to give him $200, that's my money. I can do that. But then if they see over the 5 years that I've made this really unusual deduction of $5,000 and gave to someone, then there's going to be a question about what was done with that. So you may have gotten the $5,000 because there was a room that the bathroom had to be updated. That's fine, just have the invoice where you pay that money for the bathroom so that it would be wheelchair accessible. You might have, installed a walk-in tub or whatever. You just have those documents there. But it's very, very important that you have those documents. Anything that Medicaid, during the process of you applying, and as I said earlier, make sure that you're applying as early as possible, especially if your loved one is in the hospital and you see where they've got to go to the nursing home. We're going to try therapy, but it looks like I'm going to need some long-term care. Start that application early because it takes them about 30 to 45 days to review all your documents and determine if you're eligible.
So does that mean that if a person is discharged from the hospital and they are, say they're in rehab or therapy for 21 days, are you suggesting that even before they go to the nursing home, that you start this application before they go? Would they have to come to the facility?
That's a decision that you can make, but if you see where there's a question mark and it looks like even if they do progress to a different level, that you don't have the caregivers there, then I would.
You would what? Go ahead and start the application?
Right.
But would that be at a facility, or would you just do that online with the government through Medicare, Medicaid?
Get as much help as you can. The hospitals have people that are set up to help with Medicaid applications, and also the nursing homes have people that are available to assist with Medicaid. You must have 30 days where you were institutionalized, either in acute care or a combination with the long-term care, to be eligible as well. So
Is that from the date of discharge from the hospital? before
your
they go to
hospital
therapy?
days will count
Okay,
as well.
so 30 days from either point in time.
Right.
That's when that person needs to
Right.
go ahead and apply for those
Right.
benefits.
But when the skill days end, remember you become private pay.
Correct.
The earlier you get your application in, because the time that they're going to approve will be 90 days forward. Say if you you start the application on June 1st, then they will approve if you were in the nursing home May, April, March, they will approve up until for those 90 days as well.
Okay.
So you want to get it approved as early as possible so that you don't have this huge bill.
Right.
And like I said, every month is $9,000.
Wow.
And there's no, like, can I write this off, or there's none of that happens.
Interesting. Yes, sir.
There's a question that's come up in relation to timing. It seems as if certain documents need to be in place. What constitutes a valid power of attorney from a time standpoint as it relates to an individual's capacity?
When people come into the nursing home, we have certain tests that we do and it determines what your cognitive status is. And also the therapy department does too. And if you're at a certain level in those tests, it's deemed that you're not capable of making and understanding. Now, we can tell you to sign, but did you understand what you were signing, and did you understand the significance of that document? So, and at the hospitals, they also determine if you're able to understand everything that's being said to you. So it's best to have that power of attorney done. I mean, all of us right now, we can have a power of attorney. I have a power of attorney. My husband has a power of attorney. We have that. Do we need one right now? No, we don't. And a power of attorney is not valid while I'm alert. But should I go out of the house, and I just had a car accident this week. So, last week now. But say that I became incapacitated, my husband would automatically become my POA because we already have that paperwork in place. So get that done as quick as you can while you're alert, because once you are cognitively incapacitated means I'm not aware of person, place, or I'm not aware of person, place, or thing. I don't know exactly what's going on. You can tell me things and within 2 seconds, I can't communicate with you what you just told me. No bank will accept that POA. So you can't, if you're not on that account where you can go in and determine how much money I have so you can pay the mortgage this month, you can't.
Right, and there are ways to elevate through the courts in the
Right.
absence of a POA
But that
to
takes how
address
long?
those, but it takes a significant amount of time. An attorney would file a petition for emergency protection of an adult in need of care, or something to that effect, where you're asking the court to appoint a conservator or a guardian, and that could take weeks, it could take months. It's a very challenging situation.
By the way, that question was
Yes,
asked by a 10-year-old grandson.
I do have another question. So, as you said, like, what was it? A caregiver or a caretaker?
Care supervisor.
Yeah, care supervisor. If there's a care supervisor, say, for, Kitty, and if there's the care supervisor, what exactly do they do for the caretaker?
The care supervisor is going to ensure that the things that I need to have done on a daily basis are being done, because there are caregivers that have been hired or volunteered to provide my meals, to make sure I get a bath, to change my bed, to clean up the house. And that care supervisor is just making sure that those things happen, is the way I understand it.
Right, yeah, a care supervisor is actually supervising other people. A caregiver is the one that's actually doing the actual work. So when a person's a care supervisor, they may come in and say, you have grandma and granddad there, and then you got a nurse there, and you got a person that's doing some hygienic cleaning, and they come in and say, hey, did you give them their meds, Miss Nurse? They say yes or no, and then they say, did you clean the beds? The person that's there to provide the hygienic cleanings, they would say yes or no. So that person's supervising. But caregiving is where you're the person literally putting your hands on the person that's in need of the care.
You're getting the water, you're giving the bath, you're
Right.
fixing the food. And if I can just add, when you're at the point that you have determined that you're going to complete a Medicaid application, now you can go online and get the actual Medicaid application. However, the Medicaid application is very detailed. The information must be correct. It must give that case manager at Medicaid all the information that they need. If you don't provide everything that they need, it gets taken off of the stack that they're working on and it's put to the side. They'll let you know what they need, but it's not at the top of the list where it was. And it may even be because there were so many items that you had not completed correctly that they will deny it, which means that you must do two things. Either you're going to ask for an extension right away so you don't lose your begin date of when you started the application, or if you don't start right away, then you have to start a new application, which means you lose your original date that when you apply for Medicaid. So it is a very time-sensitive process and document. Get help. Do not attempt to do this by yourself. It is very tedious. Just gathering the documents that you need, the bank statements, gathering all the receipts where you spent money, collecting all of the insurance, looking for all of those policies, making copies. It is very tedious. Everything has to be there for them so that case manager only has to just flip pages and make sure that you have everything that you want. So if they tell you during your process, because they will call you to say, I have this, now I need you to bring this document, or I need these documents added. I'm giving you 10 days. Don't assume that you can, well, I'll get it to her.
No, that's real what you're saying, because I know some people provide that service, and I think their fees are between $3,000 to $3,500 just to sit
yes.
down with a person to fill out those
Exactly.
papers and to be that liaison between that organization with Medicaid to address that. So it's a very expensive process.
It is, but I want you to think about it. Medicaid says, we're paying, let's say that your Social Security check that you get is $2,000, but your Medicaid bill is $9,000. Medicaid is saying, if you meet all the criteria, we're going to pay that extra $7,000 for you so that you'll have a place to be taken care of every month for the rest of your life. So they are going to be very precise in the information that they get from you. So this is a time now to have all of your documents in place so that anybody that is coming in behind you can just quickly locate them.
That's great. That's great.
Yes.
When you were talking about the money issue, so like me and my mother are on each other's bank accounts.
Hold on one second. We're bringing the audio box to you, if it's okay. We'll take 2 more questions and we'll be done if this is okay. Is everyone enjoying this session? Very good.
So when you were talking about the money part, the bank accounts, me
Yes.
and my mother, like, she has her own bank account, I'm on her bank account. I don't touch her money, but, I'm on her bank account. I have my bank account, and she's on that with me as well. She doesn't touch my money, but we also have our own. Is it good that so if anything ever happens, but she's on mine, are they gonna look into my information because her name is on it to
Yes.
see if that's income
Yes.
or anything for her?
Anything that has her name or Social Security number on it, they are going to want to see it.
Okay, but will they know that this is not her money, this is just her name is on there, or they're gonna take that as income for her too?
No, as long as you can demonstrate or show that she has not been getting any money from that account, then you're going to be okay. But it's important that you not take anything out of that account and not have any of your money added to her account,
Oh, what?
because that's income. Anything that's going to be extra income, they want to see it. And also know, we tell people this because they think that they can put things in different accounts, and when Medicaid asks you questions, they want to get copies, they already know. They already know. They have access. When you file that application and you give them your Social Security number, they already have access to all of your stuff. So they know that you have an account at Regions and you have an account at Wells Fargo, and then you have this other account over at Synovus. They already know that. They're just going to see what you bring back. They already know that you have a house when they ask you about your house. They already know that, because as soon as that application goes in, they have their Social Security number, they send a note to the tax assessor for your name and your Social Security number to see what's listed under for you as far as property. So don't assume that you cannot turn in some information and it'll be okay. It will not. And they will quickly decline your application, and they will tell the nursing home, well, I asked them for if they had a house, and they told me they only had one, but then when they did the search, there were 4 houses. And then they also saw where one house was valued at $100,000, but you sold it for $25,000. So that's selling under market value. So that automatically gets you a penalty. So be truthful and get them as much quickly. If you're having trouble though getting some information, just call and say, I'm having difficulty getting this information. Tell them why. They may even be able to assist you in how you can get it, but tell them that you're having difficulty.
That's good. Does anyone else have any questions? Comments? Well,
There's so much more that we can go over when it comes to Medicaid and long-term care. I thank you for inviting me.
Sure.
But there's just a lot. I hope that we answer a lot of your questions. So.
Sure. Are there any numbers or contacts you'd like to share with the audience today?
Yes, we can. I can leave you my number.
Very good. Well, listen, for those of you that are participating online, we want to thank you as well. And for those of you that are here with us in the sanctuary, we want to thank you as well. Enjoy your afternoon, and we hope that some information has been shared that help enrich you and better serve your loved ones through their time of need. Have a nice day. Thank you.